make some noise.
Make some noise for me one time.
Put your hands up.
It's about to go down.
You're now listening to the 0 to 100 show, the source for all you go-getters.
Are you ready?
It's time to level up with your hosts, Tony and Charlene Chance.
So, shall we begin?
Let's go.
Oi, 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 oi. You're locked into the 0 to 100 podcast where we put it down so we can all come up.
And the way we're going to do that is by sharing accelerated tactics to help you earn and achieve more.
Yes, sir.
So I'm Charlene, and you are
Tony Chance.
and we are a married couple, but we're also business partners and joint goal getters, I guess.
Yep.
Is that what they say? A bit about us and kind of why we're making this podcast. As I mentioned, we are business owners. Over the past 5 years, we've run several businesses together. Food, tech, e-commerce, all kind of businesses. We've had ups and downs and failures, which no doubt we'll get to talk to you a bit more about.
A lot of downs.
More ups. Anyway.
More downs.
We both come from the corporate world. So pre-2012, I was in the legal field. Tony was an accountant. We're both those people. We follow that kind of cliche story. We quit our jobs to follow the kind of entrepreneurial route. And like I said, that's been up and down. Our businesses have taken us to San Francisco, where we ran a business for half a year. Currently, we're actually traveling around the world. We're right now in Panama recording this podcast. We've been through Asia for the past 2 months and going into South America now, all whilst running our business. That's something we'll be sharing a lot more about, like how you can kind of have location independence, be a digital nomad.
Well, and essentially what we're aimed to do is through our learnings of the failures and successes, is basically pass on what's working and like what we've learned to help us to achieve our goals and what we want, and basically pass that forward to everyone else so that you can do the same and we can learn from each other and basically push this thing forward. Yeah,
so like I think why this is really important for us to do is because, I don't know, the world's going through a bit of a thing right now. We're all getting woke, as it were, but for us, getting woke meant kind of really doing our bit for the community. We don't want to be those people who just talk about how things should be. For us, so we are both black. We don't come from privilege. We don't have all the backing that maybe other people have had, but we've experienced some success, and we kind of get to live a lifestyle that a lot of people could appreciate or benefit from. So for us, our part that we can do for our community is share that, hopefully encourage and enable more people in our community to earn more, to achieve more, to get second incomes, to get passive incomes, in hope that we can do our little bit to help the community come up. So that's why we're passionate about it. We hope that we can help some people in it with what we know. So
yeah, that's the goal.
That's why we're here. So we're coming from a good place.
Yep.
This is our first podcast. Bear with us, but we'll get better and we're going to share lots and we're all going to grow and make lots of money and achieve lots together. So cool.
Yeah, that's it.
So basically, Tony had the idea that we would do this as seasons, and this is season 1. And the aim for us of season 1 was to help people kind of get in the game, get off the starting block. So having left our corporate jobs 5 years ago, this was us in 2012. This is how do you go from just having ideas in your head to like executing on them, which is what I'd say we're masters of.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Back then, I wish I knew what I know now back then, when I was actually hungry, going out for what I wanted, but I wasn't refined, hadn't really been through the process, didn't know as much as I know now. So if I can just feed back as much as I know now, which is actually helping me now, we can all accelerate where we are and where we want to be.
This is it. And again, this kind of ties back into coming from a certain community, a community that isn't used to running businesses or being entrepreneurial, or maybe you come from a poorer background, a poorer end. So sometimes you're not always surrounded by the knowledge of how to shortcut things. Like you've got to learn things the hard way. And I think what we're hoping is that some of the stuff that we've learned the hard way, we share so you get to shortcut.
We talk about this more in the intro. So if you want to know more about our journey to where we are today, go into the first.
For sure. So over this season 1, we're going to cover 5 main topics, which we believe is crucial to getting in the game. We're going to do goal setting. We're going to talk money management. We're going to talk about attitude adjustments, spending time well, and strategizing. Yeah?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, not essentially. That's what we're going to do, fam.
Yeah, I might share a bit more.
Anyway, so this is episode 1, and we're going to talk goal setting.
All right, yeah. So episode 1 is about goal setting. We thought like it's essential for us to start with this topic here because without a goal, you got nothing. Yeah, essentially. That without it's goals is that drive us forward. Without goals, you kind of stay where you are. That if you might notice that the times in your life when you haven't set goals, you're a year later you're in exactly the same place you was that year ago, or even further backwards, a worse situation, or things are just on top. Because if you ain't got a goal, that's going to drive you forward. It's going to give you motivation, a reason to get up, work, fix your attitude, fix yourself up to move forward to that life that you actually deserve and really want. So it sounds nice, a goal. Everyone likes to set a new goal at the new year, but goal setting, there's an art to goal setting to actually really go after and get the goals that you really want.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of share what we know about goal setting.
And I think like what Tony just said there is the key, is that you've got to set better goals if month on month, year on year, you're complaining about the same stuff. Like you still got no money. 2016 you had no money, 2017 you got no money, 2018 you got no money. You're complaining about your job every Monday, like you're pissed about going to work, like, and that's been the case for 3 years. Like that is when you need to set some goals, because your life ain't where you want it to be. The solution to that problem is goal setting.
Okay, yeah, cool. So what we need to kind of first establish for ourselves is, what's important to me. What is a goal? Like, what should I set as my goal to move my life forward? And this is the deep work we all need to do for ourselves. That I can't give you that answer, but you need to kind of look to yourself and say, what am I pissed about? That what is really pissing me off, or getting me annoyed or frustrated, or just what do I need in my life right now that I can't live without? Because something's got to change, and do you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that change. And that's going to be different for everyone. For myself, like I'm a prolific goal setter, but some of my goal setting has been better than others. But where I'm at now, my goals is like my main goal that I set for myself now. How I got to that point was I said, enough is enough. Like I was so fed up with how my life was going and how it was just like repeating itself or going back to the same scenario. That we was where was we? I think we was in Asia about 2 years ago, and we was working on a business that failed, and and we was out there, and then our team kind of fell apart that we was working with, and I just said, you know what?
It's deeper than that. You got to go back on that story.
Go on, jump
It's
in.
even deeper. Like, we were in Asia, right? This is what really happened. We had a tech startup. To carry out, we got into an accelerator with that tech startup in San Francisco. To get to San Francisco, me and Tony sold everything. Like we owned. And when I say everything, I mean like down to, you saw an email on your computer the other day selling a keyboard, like a computer keyboard. When I say we sold everything, I mean everything. We had nothing. We sold everything to go to San Francisco to run this tech startup. Right? And it was working. We were in San Francisco for 6 months, everything working. Come back to England because our 3-month visa ran out. Go to the embassy, apply for the visa, get rejected. When I tell you our life crumbled before us at that point, innit? So we were only in Asia because our life had crumbled already. Like our whole business plan was like, oh, what shit? We didn't get a visa. How are we going to get back in? We go to Asia, then the team falls apart. So we're already a lot more in there. Like, what are we going to do? Kind of like pull ourselves up, go to Asia, because we couldn't actually afford to live in the ends. We're only in Asia because it was cheaper to live in Asia anyway. Then the team breaks down. This is around, I don't know what, January 2016. Rock bottom. All right? Mm-hmm. Like literally almost homeless. Most people don't know this. We were in Asia. We'd run out of money as well. So when I say rock bottom, I don't mean like, I don't have money for paid trainers. And I mean like, no business, can't follow through, team breaks down.
Let me explain.
Got no pay.
Rock bottom is when you're staying in a hotel in Thailand and you don't have the money to pay for your room, so you're sneaking past the reception until the money lands in the coming days.
Bruh, this is 2016.
I'm a big man at the times, This is being a big person who's actually in real trouble because one, not everything goes as you plan. You know, I now setting big goals and going after big goals and kind of putting it all on the line, and two, I just wasn't doing the right things essentially. Do you know what I mean? So,
and we digressed a little there, but I think the point that we're making is that it was at that point, rock bottom, that we got serious about goal setting.
Right,
So like pre-2016 we had goals, but some of these rules that we're kind of going to go into in a minute got clearer to us and got more serious to us when everything was like rock bottom.
Yeah, and that's kind of where what I want to share is basically we need to use the contrast in our lives to kind of see what it is we really don't want and what we're not prepared to put up with anymore. And and look at that's when it clicks. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna go through this anymore. This enough is enough. I want, and then be very clear on what you want. And that's where we want to get. Well, that's where we got ourselves to, and that's where we want to help other people get to get the real clarity on it, what that changes you need in your life.
Yeah. So that's step one. Like, you've got to write down all the possible goals. What are you not happy with? In my opinion, if your life is like really feeling low, there's no better time to write these goals. But if it isn't, the question is, what are you not happy with? And that's going to form like the first list. And then, as Tony said, I think, kind of step 2 in this process, you write down all of the things you're not happy with, and then in the spirit of actually achieving those goals, you kind of have to identify, well, which one, if I could only do one of these things, like which one is it going to be? Which one, if it was still here in 2019, could I not live without? Like, I can't cope with the fact, for example, like for me, 2018, despite all of the successes we've had, I still got debt. And I'm like, no, do you know what? At this point, I'm trying to buy properties. I'm trying to move, into a different realm of investment. In 2019, if I still have debt, I can't live with that. So that's like that's my chief goal this year. Like that is it. If I only do one thing, I've got to clear my debt. And I think that's how you need to look at that list of goals. Which one could you not survive? You could not bear, you'd be depressed, you'd be sick to the stomach if it was still the case. You agree?
Yeah. It's like you got to prioritize the priorities at the end of the day, because like it's a lot of people will just go and set a goal which kind of sounds good, or set loads of goals, but the way that we really move things forward, what I found, I can only talk from my own experiences, but I've seen it from other people around me who are achieving what they want to achieve. It's like when you have that focus on one thing, that's when things start happening. You really need to get really clear and kind of stop dispersing and stop trying to chase so many different things. Like there'll be time for that, but let's get focused. Let's be clear on one thing to drive us forward, the one thing that you're actually passionate about, that you're really it's gonna give you that fire up your arse to kind of get up and get to work. Yeah. You know what I mean? So. And
I can put that into context. Like last year, I would say financially was the strongest year Tony and I had 2017. And it weren't the most exciting year, although we did get married. But that aside, and our kind of goal for last year was for our business to replace the income we would earn at work. And that's not huge. That weren't being millionaires. That was nothing like that. But it was this one thing that we just focused on over and above everything, and we achieved it. And we could have also said, and we want to buy a house, and we want to buy this, and we could have said all these other things, but by focusing on one thing, we just expended all our effort on it. And when the year ended, we felt successful. Like we won. Whereas if we had said 10 different things and achieved none of them, you feel at the end of the year like, man, like I didn't get nowhere. So by saying one thing that you couldn't live without and you focus on that, then you're going to achieve it at the end of the year. You're going to feel successful. And that success, that feeling of success, will propel you into the second year and the next goal and or not year, whether it's a month, whatever. But like having one thing, focus on it, achieve it, move on to the next. It's momentum. So we're going to write a list, all the things we can't live without.
That's it.
We're going to identify the one thing that's the most important. I couldn't live without it. And then you got to audit the goal.
Yeah. So
Tony loves this subject. So
yeah. Now dig into those and really ask some questions about these goals and say like, okay, why do I want this? That why have I got a house in Dulwich or San Francisco under this? Like why? Why is this on my list? And then we're gonna keep asking why about these things that we've posed as goals and kind of get to the root to see if it's actually something we're really passionate about. Like we've learned this ourselves, where we had goals to be billionaires. Like about 2 years ago, our overriding goal was to be billionaires. Like we sit down and we was like obsessed with this life of just being billionaires, and which was good because it made a lot of things happen for us, but at the same time it kind of destroyed us at the same time, because the goal was actually too big and it wasn't actually in line with what we really wanted, because we didn't do the work to think about why we really want it. And then when we sat down and done the work, okay, why do we want to be billionaires? Because we want to live good lives. Okay, so what's required to live that good life? Nice house, cash in the pocket, buy what I want. Okay, so what does that cost? And then we done numbers and was like, actually, don't need to be a billionaire at all.
Exactly.
Literally just need to get my weight up.
A millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, like it don't need to be that big. So basically, we're setting ourselves up to fail, because every time we don't reach that goal or something that stops us from being billionaires, we feel like we lost. And therefore your energy drops. You sack off the goal, or you lose momentum, and then you kind of like start losing ground, and then you start doing some next thing. So
that's it. So like the point of this isn't so that you don't set big goals or so that there's small goals. It's to make sure that the goal is what you actually really want. So do you really want to be a billionaire, or do you just need some level of financial freedom, as Tony just explained? Like, is it real? And more importantly, I think what you're trying to do here when you ask why is attach a feeling to the goal. Because look, goals that we're not passionate about are goals that will always be unachieved. So here you want to be saying stuff like, here's another one. Tony's goal this year is financial freedom. So when he says why, eventually he comes to the fact that what he wants is not to be a millionaire. It's not about being a millionaire that matters. He needs financial freedom so that he controls his own time. So that, as we did last month in January, if he says, I don't want to work this month, he can. It's having the freedom. So the real, once you ask why, you come to this sense of, I want freedom, and that's something to be passionate about. I think that a lot of people are going to set a goal to make more money. And what you learn, I think, the more you go through this, is that it's not really about the money. Like, it's about what the money gives you and the feeling that the money will give you, or whatever your goal is. It's about feelings. So when you ask why, what you're trying to get to is the feeling, the consequential feeling you'll get from achieving that goal.
Yeah. And then once you've got that feeling, you can audit the goal and be like, actually, is this goal correct? Is that right? Is that what I actually need to achieve this, or is it something else? Yeah. And then we can basically go after it with fire and basically be excited, passionate about. Because at the end of the day, here's the reality about any goal that you set, is that the reality ain't gonna happen overnight. Yeah, it's a progressive realization. You know what I mean? It's like it comes to you over time in incremental steps. So only if you're passionate about it are you gonna see it through. Because a lot of the times, in pursuit of that goal, you might be set back to zero. Or it might look like it's going to zero. It probably ain't going to zero. That's our reality, looking like it's going to zero, but you're moving forward in some way, from what you're learning, or from what you're doing, or from who you're engaging with, or whatever. But it's progressive. But so the only way you're going to see that out is if you are passionate about what you're going after.
Which is why most people don't achieve their goals, is because actually, like, as soon as the first hurdle comes, they don't care about it enough to carry on. You know? So like, you say you're going to start a business, you open up, no one comes in the shop on day one, and you're like, oh, do you know what, this ain't for me, let me go back to my work. Anyone who's ever been through that, you didn't really care about the shop you opened. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, you got, and that's cool. You know, maybe that wasn't the right goal for you, but you have to make sure that this is a goal that you genuinely care about, because this is tough. I'm telling you, going from 0 to 100, going from a normal life to an amazing life, a life that isn't average, isn't easy. Do you know, this is something that 5% of people achieve, to actually live a life that isn't ordinary. Most people will never get this. So if you're going to be in that 5%, you're going to come, especially if you're not from backing in privilege, you're going to come on problems. So you need to care. And that's what this is. Yeah. So at this point, right, let's just recap. You've got a list of all your goals. You've narrowed it down to the one that really matters. And you've made sure this is something you're genuinely passionate about. And that really is it. Those are fundamentally the 3 steps to setting, especially in the first place, to setting goals. But there are some kind of like, I don't know, notes that you should be aware of when setting the goals. And the first one I would say is like, don't set a goal that you think you should set. I don't know if this is something I've ever done, but I hear people do it all the time. Like a lot of people, I'd say in the ends, like where I'm from, will say things like, I'm going to make a goal to buy a house. And I don't think they really care about buying a house. So they say it, but they don't do any of the work to buy a house. They don't get debt free. They don't save the deposit. They still go and spend money on shoes and rubbish and cars because actually they think they should buy a house, but they don't really care. So I think when you're setting goals, when you're doing this exercise that we spoke about, make sure you're honest. So be honest in goal setting.
What would I say about it as well? Is that let's find the sweet spot. So this is really important when it comes to goal setting. Is that the sweet spot is a goal that's big enough to excite you, but still small enough to believe in. Yeah, and I don't mean small. I'm not trying to tell you to set small goals, but if you don't believe in it, you're not going to basically go after it with all your might and all your passion. So it's like you want it big enough to like it's scary. It's like it's so big. It's actually this is new. This is a new realm. This is actually going to change my life in some way, shape, or form. But it's believable. You know what I mean? I believe I can get this. It's like my goal last year was to earn X amount of money, and I made it a achievable amount. It was something I've never done before through my business, that I was able to basically pay myself monthly off my business a certain amount, but it wasn't so big. I didn't say, I want to earn £1 million a month. Do you know what I mean? Because that's although I feel like in the future I'll be able to do that, right now I don't fully believe in that from where I was and where I was at that time. So I set myself a different goal, reached the goal, and then now level up the goals as you go, because you as you get momentum, as you achieve the success, your confidence builds and you can start setting better goals. So
yeah, I can't remember who says it, but someone says like go as far as you can see, then you can go further. And I think that's what it is. Like, it's not that you don't set big goals, but for example, if you've never earned a penny from business, don't say, okay, and then in the next 6 months I'm going to earn $1 million from my business. And it ain't that you can't earn $1 million, but like incremental in it. Like, say earn your first £100 from business before you say you're going to earn £10,000 from business, which is something, again, like we've learned. That year we said we were going to be billionaires. We went to San Francisco to become billionaires. The business didn't even have a customer, let alone $1 billion. You get me? So like, slow your goals down. Don't be unnecessarily big, but make it big enough to like make it exciting. So like last year when the goal was to replace our income, that was exciting, man. If I could earn my money I'd earn from a salary, sleeping in my bed, that's exciting, but it wasn't ridiculous. Not ridiculous is the wrong word, but it wasn't like humongous. It wasn't a humongous amount of money. It was something I genuinely believed I could achieve. So yeah. So recapping again, we're going to be honest. We're going to find a sweet spot. So we're going to find a goal that's not too big, but not too small where it's not interesting. Another one, we've kind of touched on this already, but it's that narrowing down to the one goal. Like, don't write 50 goals, man. Achieve one thing. And if you get it done in a week, cool, set another one goal, but one thing at a time, especially until you get really good at this. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
you can write it down, like,
you know what I mean? I mean, what to work on.
You should
write down all your goals.
You should have a list of everything you want. You know what I mean? But like,
but work on one thing at a time.
Let's get the chief aim. Let's see what it is we're really driving forward for.
And then measurable. So a kind of key thing with a goal, any good goal, is you got to know when you've achieved it. Because, and we'll talk about this later on, but there's something called the success momentum cycle, which is essentially the idea that success breeds success. So the more you feel like you're winning, the more likely you are to win again. So what you want to do is know when you've won, so that you have the momentum to move on to the next one. So a measurable goal would be, for example, if you say, I want to lose weight, it's got to be, I know that I've achieved this goal when my weight is 9 stone rather than 10, for example.
Yeah.
So make it measurable.
Yeah. Like a lot of people. Sorry, did I cut you up? A lot of people would set a goal to be, I don't know, boarding, financially free, or something like that. But that by itself is not a measurable goal. So define what that means to you.
Yeah.
Define what that means to you. So in your life, in the life that you want to live, in the way that you want to live it, what's involved in that? Okay, what does that cost? Okay, so what does that mean I need to have? Then you have a monetary figure that is measurable, so you can start to see as you make ground towards it. And you can see if you're not making ground towards it, you can see whether you need to start
changing
or applying yourself some more, doing some more.
Okay. And then it's a funny one for what you just said, but the next one is like specificity. Does my goal need to be specific? And I think, I can't say we're the authorities on this one, but from what we've learned, the answer is not necessarily. Like there are some goals where A, you're capable of being specific, and B, some goals where you need to be specific, but it's not a necessity to be specific. Like I think it is cool to say, I want to run a successful business. And as you get on that journey, work out what that successful business is. I don't think you need to say, I want to run a successful business in tech, because that's what we did 2 years ago. And here we are today running a successful business, very successful business in retail. So, and I think it's because we were open enough to say, yeah, we want a successful business, but we're going to let the world, the circumstances present to us what that can be. And
I think this ties back into what we said earlier about the why and why you're doing it. Because if you dig into why you want to run a successful business, you might come to the realization that, you just want to feel successful, or you want to be of value to a certain customer or community. And that can be achieved by many ways. So if you allow yourself to be a bit more general, you're setting yourself up to win, because there's more ways to achieve that ultimate goal, that feeling that you're chasing, if you allow yourself to be a bit more general and then go after it that way. But
that being said, it sounds like we're contradicting, but like there's nothing wrong with being specific if you're capable of being specific. So for example, I said this one earlier to you, like if I was LeBron James, a basketball player, it would be cool to say I specifically want to win the NBA championships. Like you could be specific about that because you know full well. But what I'm saying is sometimes people don't know, but they feel the need to put specificity on it. So don't feel obliged to be specific. But if you can be specific, cool, like be specific. But it's not a must. And this is my most important one. Over and above everything, please don't self-impose timelines. Like don't say I'm going to be a millionaire in the next 12 months. Like don't do that to yourself, because no one said you have to be a millionaire in the next. You won't die if it took you 5 years rather than 1 year. And that's the case for most goals. Like just be cool. Like you can have an idea of when you can work towards a goal, but don't put it on yourself whereby if 12 months pass and you hadn't achieved it, you're going to feel like a failure. Like the idea here is to win. You got to set some goals that like you're going to get to the end of it and feel like a winner, so don't say 6 months if it don't have to be 6 months. This
is something that we really suffered from in the past, that we used to set these goals, and it is a tricky one because time frames do help you drive things forward. So I'm not saying don't put in a timeline or a deadline, because you want something to kind of work towards, but you don't want it so definite where if it doesn't reach,
you're going to be crushed.
You feel crushed, you feel weak, because at the end of the day, this all comes down to energy, this comes down to your mind frame, this comes down to like how you approach things. And if you are, like what we went through, we used to set deadlines, by the end of the year we need to have X, Y and Z, and then we get to the end of the year, we ain't got it, and then we just draw the curtains and sit in darkness, vex and just weak because we feel like failures for not achieving it. When really, like, who said we had to have it by? Well, we said, but what changes? Like, who's going to judge us on it except for ourselves? So if it's only ourselves who's going to judge us, why don't we set a goal that's going to make us feel empowered, regardless if it's reached by that date or 3 months later?
Don't set a deadline. Like, be cool, work hard, monitor your goals, work towards them all the time, but like don't force yourself to achieve things by a certain date. And then so by this point, you've written down your list, you've got your one goal, you've made sure it's something you're passionate about, it's measurable, it's not too many of them, it's honest, it's all these things. Write it down. And when I say write, I don't mean type it, I mean write it down and make it visible. So if you can as well, have a dream board, like pictures or whatever, but write it down, hang it on the wall, I don't know, put it somewhere you look at every day. Make sure you see it all the time. Get it in your head. This is the goal. This is the goal. Remember it.
Yeah, this is massive. This is something that I actually take very serious, and I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, you see that I'm constantly writing my goals down. Every morning I write down my chief aim, my chief goal, like 70 times, and then I break down what that actually means to me every single day, because I'm becoming obsessed with it. I'm filling my mind with it. So every time that I encounter anyone, any situation, any circumstance, I'm totally focused on what I want, so that I extract out of the day what is necessary to drive me towards my goal. And the reason why I go so hard with that now, I've been doing that for probably the last 2 years, like religiously every single day, writing down my goals, and I'm achieving them, ticking them off, is because previously I didn't do that. And then me and Charlene would come to the end of the year and they'd say, oh, what was our goal for last year? Oh, don't know. Digging through some emails and some Trello boards and notepads, and then find it. Oh yeah, we're trying to go for that. Oh, we didn't get that. Because we're looking at our goals once a year, once every 6 months. Like that's embarrassing. You need to, if you're serious about what you want, you need to know that. That needs to be front of mind every single day. You need to know that on the tip of your tongue in detail what you want and why you want it, because you don't know who you're going to bump into tomorrow who's actually got the keys to give you what you want. Yeah. And if you ain't clear on what you want, you're going to bump into that guy and then bump past him and move on with your day. Do you know what I mean? And just delaying or flopping things in your life. So,
and like, as they say, what you focus on expands. So the more you are looking at the goal, writing the goal, having that goal in your head, the more energy you're putting on it. And I think that the more aggressive you'll get about it. Like if I see debt free in my head every day, like I'm going to be about it, innit? Because it reminds me that I'm not debt free. So like I'm motivated to get on with it. So write the goals down and look at them.
And check in on them. See where you are. See where you are in relation to that goal.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because if you're writing it down, then you're going to think about it and think, actually, okay, where am I with this goal? Okay, that's the same as last month. Wagwan.
Yeah.
Like, it's not moving forward.
Auditing. Like audit. If you can't find someone else to audit you, and to be honest, forget that. Like get someone if you can, but you got to be capable of self-auditing. You got to be capable of saying, and we do this 3 times a week. We look at our goals together and we audit them. Like, am I closer to the goal today than I was a week ago? And if you're not, you got to keep it real and say, okay, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing enough. Like you got to not just write them down and look at them, but like check in. Am I actually progressing? Because remember, these are progressive. You hit goals by a series of small steps. So look at them. Yeah, we don't audit them.
Yeah, we don't mean like, have you achieved it? Because that's not necessarily.
Am I making ground?
Yeah, are you making ground? You need to be clear that every little success is the part of your great success. So, all right, you know what I mean? Let's get clear.
We I'll be honest, like we've gone significantly over time. So sorry about that. And again, like this is something we're going to get better at, but I hope that what we've got across today is that the first step in moving your life from 0 to 100 is to set goals, is to be clear on what you want to achieve.
3 actionable steps.
And the way that you do that is by identifying what you're not happy with, step 1. 2, still in step 1. So you're identifying what you're not happy with, and then you're picking the thing that you're most passionate about, the thing that matters most, the thing that you couldn't live without achieving. Step 2, you're going to say, okay, why do I want it? Make sure it's a goal that you're actually genuinely passionate about and it's the correct thing to aim for. And 3, write it down, get it visible, and then get into the habit of like checking your progress towards those goals. Those are the 3 actionable steps to goal setting.
Yeah, and my advice to myself and you is like, take this serious. This is like deep work. Like take the day, take the week to actually take the whole morning, like sit down and really spend the time on this, because this is, without this, everything you do afterwards, like you could have a strategy, you could have a business, you could have a career path. Like if you're not clear here, you're going to waste your energy in the other thing. I'm not saying things won't happen, but it won't be as focused energy. Do you know what I mean? So like spend the time. This is personal. Like no one can't tell me what my goal should be. It needs to be personal to you. Like what is it you really want? Take the time to figure that out, do the work, and then get obsessed with it.
So it's the why. This is the why. The goal's the why you're going to do it. This is why you're going to get up when it's tough. Don't worry about the how. The how is the strategy. And like, again, as I said, 5 episodes in this season, we'll get to strategy. But right now, before we come back next week, do this exercise. Do those 3 actionable exercises, which we'll also put in the write-up to the podcast. And I just want to say a little side note. Look, this podcast isn't for everyone, you know. Some people are going to write down all those things and they're not going to be passionate about nothing. Like they can live with the fact that next year they'll still have debt, that next year they'll still be brat pocket. Like I don't expect everyone to listen to this. I don't expect everyone to relate to this. If you don't have a goal you're passionate about, then, you know, maybe episode 2 ain't for you. But if you do that exercise and you say, look, I can't live without this, I've got to make this happen, come back next week, follow us on Instagram. Like, we're about it, man. Like, we're achieving stuff. Like, the point is that, like, we're making this happen and we want to help people make it happen. So do the exercise. Come back next week. We're going to talk about like money management, because that ties in so much to any goal. So let's do this. Let's get this money. Let's get this achievement. Let's get this
and
success.
like, just to be clear, a lot of what we talk about might be about money, and like, it ain't all just about money. But, you know, if it's part of what you're going after, then like, be real with yourself and know how it ties in. It's all about achieving. It's all about moving forward. It's all about getting more good stuff in your life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm about. That's what Charlene's about. And, you know, if you're about that too, then lock into episode 2.
In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram. You can see like all of our travels, the stuff we're doing in business as well there. On Instagram, I'm at Happy Charlene, spelled HAPPISHARLENE, which is annoying that I had to do with the I, but anyway. And you are...
Yeah, Tony Chance. My Instagram handle is at Mr. T Chance.
That's it. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Latest. We're going to explore the Casco Viejo.
Yeah, like a podcast. Share it with people, anyone you think's interested, and send us some comments, send us your questions, anything that we want to help, we want to give back.
Sorry, this
thank
is
you.
Minutes.
Laters. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. Follow our Instagram at 02100show and our website 02100show.com for more info and a look behind the scenes. If you like what you heard today, please like, subscribe and leave us a review. And if you've got any questions, drop us a message or leave a comment. Laters. Hello and welcome. My name is Tony Chance. I'm actually gonna make you rich. That's what I've been placed on earth to do. I'm qualified for it. I've spent many years being rich in the mind, and I'm almost rich in real life. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Yeah.